Strange Hotel, Top 10 Scariest Reddit Stories intro. Welcome back to the Strange Hotel, where every room has a story and some guests never check out. Tonight we're reading 10 scary Reddit stories from people who claim they saw ghosts, strange figures, and things they still cannot explain. For each story, I'll tell you who posted it, give a quick summary, and then read the full story. So turn off the lights, get comfortable, and let's open the first door. Number 10. This story is from Reddit user Juice Drink Shaney. The title of the post is, "There Might Be a Ghost in My House." This story is about someone who grew up scared of their own room after seeing a tall, shadowy man standing in the doorway. Years later, their dad and their friend also experienced something strange in the same house. Now here is the full story. There might be a ghost in my house. This will probably be a longer post, so bear with me as I try to get it all out. When I was younger, I could never sleep in my room. I don't remember exact details, but I would be filled with an immense amount of fear that made it nearly impossible to sleep in my own bed. It got so bad that I ended up switching bedrooms when I was in middle school. But before I switched rooms, I have one specific memory of seeing a man standing at my bedroom door. I'd woken up in the middle of the night and I saw the silhouette of a very tall man with broad shoulders standing in my doorway. I turned on my lamp, hoping it would make it disappear, but he was still there. I kept looking away and looking back, hoping that he would just go away. After about a minute, he finally disappeared. Since then, I switched rooms and haven't seen him since. I've had other minor experiences as a kid, but nothing like that. It would mostly be electronics malfunctioning, such as our TV constantly turning on by itself, or my iPod playing music on its own. But things like that would happen so often, my family just got used to it, and now we just joke about the ghost wanting to watch more TV. Now I'm 21 years old, still living at home. And one morning, my dad told me that he saw a ghost. This caught me off guard because my dad is the last person to cry ghost. He told me that he woke up and heard someone walking around in his bathroom and turning the sink on and off. He assumed it was my mom, but she was asleep next to him. He then was confused, thinking it was me or my brother using his bathroom for some reason, but he got up to check on us and saw us both sleeping in our own rooms. He couldn't explain what he heard that night and decided to tell me, since I would always claim there was a ghost in the house as a kid. A few months later, my family was out of town and two of my best friends were staying at my house to watch my cat. One of my friends texted me claiming that she saw a ghost. She said she saw a tall silhouette of a man walking from my kitchen to my dining room. I ended up telling her about the one time I saw a silhouette of a man in my bedroom, and she freaked out because I described the exact person she saw. A tall man with broad shoulders. She said she didn't know how to explain his body at first and thought he was just wearing a puffy coat or something. But having broad shoulders described it perfectly. So, I don't know if there's a ghost in my house, but I just wanted to share a few of my experiences and see y'all's opinions. Number 9. This story is from Reddit user Guilty Bison 127. The title of the post is The Shuffling Man. This story is about a couple taking a late-night walk when they see a tall man moving in a way that does not look human. The creepiest part is that after they run home, something may have followed them. Now here is the full story. The Shuffling Man, 23M, and my girlfriend, 24F, have been going on late-night walks for years. We live in the UK on a quiet street. And almost every weekend we walk around our neighborhood or head up the hill behind our house to stargaze with binoculars. We've done this for years and never experienced anything remotely strange before this. Normally, we're home before midnight, but this night we left around 1 a.m. as neither of us could sleep. The streets were empty. Barely any house lights were on. No cars passing, no sounds at all. It was completely dark and silent, but we brushed it off and kept walking toward the field behind our house. The entrance is a narrow path between tall hedges with no houses overlooking it. We were talking and laughing while walking, occasionally looking ahead. Then, we both froze. About 20 steps in front of us was this extremely tall man just standing there, facing the hedge. Neither of us saw him appear. 1 second the path was empty, and the next, he was just there, like he'd always been standing there somehow. There's no way we could have missed him either because of how tall he was and how narrow the path is. He was wearing what looked like all black leather, completely motionless at first, and we couldn't make out a single facial feature. No eyes, no expression. Nothing. Even though we were close enough that we should have been able to see his face clearly, it almost looked smooth, like just skin stretched over where features should have been. And then he started moving. I genuinely cannot explain the way he moved without sounding insane. It looked like his body was trying to walk in one direction, but he was actually moving another way entirely. Imagine someone facing left and doing the motions to walk straight ahead, arms stiff, legs stepping forward normally, except instead of moving where his body was facing, he was somehow gliding diagonally toward us. Like his movements and the direction he was traveling didn't match up properly. The closest thing I can compare it to is a video game character glitching out. His body looked out of sync, almost shuffling or lagging, like something pretending to walk like a person but getting it slightly wrong. Every step looked unnatural, jerky and then smooth, and somehow he kept getting closer to us, even though it looked physically impossible for him to be moving that way. And the worst part was how silent he was. No breathing, no footsteps. Nothing. Neither of us said anything at first. I grabbed my girlfriend's hand and slowly backed us away while still watching him. I told her not to look at him, then we turned around and speed walked home faster than we ever have before. I turned my head back after just a second to make sure he wasn't following us. But he was gone. The entire way back, I kept checking behind us, expecting him to be right there, but every time I looked, the street was completely empty. No sign of him at all. While walking home, we both noticed 3 bright dots in the sky, moving in a perfect triangle formation. They were flying way too fast and silently zoomed across the sky before disappearing out of view. Maybe it was unrelated, but after what we'd just seen, it felt horrifying. When we got home, we described everything that we saw in the exact same way. Neither of us are tripping. A little while later, just as we were finally starting to calm down, our Ring doorbell notification went off. "There is someone at your front door?" Our bedroom window was open foolishly, and we heard someone outside. We stayed completely silent and listened. At first, we heard these low grunting noises like someone in pain, followed by slow scraping footsteps moving outside the house. Then suddenly, there was another set of footsteps moving much faster. And then, everything stopped. Dead silent. We checked the Ring camera straight after, and the street outside was completely empty the whole time. To this day, it's still the most unsettling thing either of us has ever experienced, because whatever we saw did not move like a normal person, and we think it followed us back home. TLDR. My girlfriend and I encountered a man on a late-night walk who moved in a way that genuinely didn't look human. Number 8. This story is from Reddit user Grouchy_cicada_4526. The title of the post is Something Squeezed My Shoulder During Thunderstorm. This story is about someone riding a scooter during a storm when their vision suddenly goes black. Then they feel someone squeeze their shoulder, but later their mom says she never touched them. Now, here is the full story. Something squeezed my shoulder during thunderstorm. My English that great, so I used AI, so don't mind it. A few months ago, me and my mom went to a yatra. While coming back, a huge thunderstorm suddenly started. We stopped somewhere to eat and wait for the rain to calm down, but by the time we left, it was already around 8:45 p.m. For context, my house was around 10 kilometers away. The storm was insane. There was lightning every second. The whole sky kept flashing non-stop like some kind of strobe light. After a few kilometers, the rain stopped for a bit, but once we reached the area with fields and no street lights, it started pouring again. I was riding my scooter, and at this point, we were almost home. I just had to follow one straight road for around 500 meters. Suddenly, out of nowhere, my vision completely blacked out. The best way I can describe it is that it felt like there were tornadoes spinning in front of my eyes. I literally could not see anything ahead of me. At the same time, my scooter's front tire started wobbling badly, and I had to stop immediately. The creepy part is, I had no idea where we had stopped. I couldn't tell if we were in the middle of the road or on the side. I looked down and couldn't even see my own feet. I looked at my hand and could barely make out the tips of my fingers from the scooter's headlight. I tried revving a little while, holding the brake to see farther ahead. But it felt like the headlight was just disappearing into a black void. Then there was an insanely loud thundercrack that echoed everywhere. Right at that moment, I felt someone squeeze my shoulder tightly. I thought it was my mom trying to comfort me. So I said something like, "It's okay, we'll get home soon." At the exact same time, two guys on another bike passed us completely normally, like nothing was wrong. After a few seconds, I slowly started moving again with both feet almost touching the ground for balance. Then suddenly, after barely moving a short distance, everything became normal again. The sky cleared up, visibility returned, and I drove home without any problem. The next day, while returning from college, I passed the same road and suddenly realized something weird. My mom sits sideways on the scooter like most women do. She holds the grab rail with one hand and under the seat with the other. So, what exactly squeezed my shoulder that night? I asked her about it later, and she said she never touched my shoulder at all. Number 7. This story is from Reddit user Silver Honkler. The title of the post is, I don't even know how to say this, but I think I saw a gnome in a national forest yesterday. This story is about an outdoorsman who sees a tiny human-like figure in the forest. The figure seems to move a rock out of the road, leaving drag marks behind. Now here is the full story. I don't even know how to say this, but I think I saw a gnome in a national forest yesterday. I will be the first to admit, I thought these types of cryptids were a joke and not real, and I've never been able to take them seriously. I am an outdoorsman and have been for 35 years. I grew up in the woods. I memorized trees for mushroom, hunting for a living. I know every brook, stream, bush, berry grove, log, you name it. I'm on a forest road and I'm on our 9 of not a soul in sight. I gather some mushrooms and look up the road and see a rock has fallen from the loose, steep side of the mountain to the middle of the road. I make a mental note that I have to move it and not drive over it. I gather my mushrooms and get back to the car. I look up and I see what appears to be a 2 or 2.5 foot tall little brown thing walking from the side of the road over to the rock. My first logical thought is that it is a squirrel, but I see it as walking on 2 legs, appears to be wearing brown cloth or fur clothes, and is shaped like a human, but very tiny. It's not scurrying either, it is ambling on 2 legs like a human would. Just casually walking like this is some normal, regular-ass thing, like monotonous work it does for a living. I don't believe my lying eyes. It has to be something else. I get back in the car and head up the road and see that the rock has been pushed back to the side of the road from whence it came. It had fallen off the hill, rolled to my left, then was sitting back on the other side of the road on the right. There are drag marks like someone slid it back. I look, I smell, I sense, I listen. Nothing. I don't know where gnomes live, but the old partially logged section where I was at looked pretty perfect for a clan of these things. Lots of places to hide, secluded, near water, plenty of routes of escape, and would be easy to dig little holes in the mountain and be fortified against invaders. The side road into it was flooded and appears to do so regularly, so these little guys even have their own moat. I'm positive I'm overthinking this. It was a long drive back up the mountain, then down the mountain the other way, and sometime home, and I can't pick this apart into anything else but being a tiny little forest man. I'm like 1,000% positive that I saw what I saw. It was near a military special interest zone, allegedly blocked off due to some native butterflies, but I'm starting to wonder if this research area is really about butterflies after all. They send you to prison, ban you from parks, and give you a $5,000 fine if you take a single berry from inside that boundary. Number 6. This story's title is Grandfather at the End of Life and Interacting with Deceased Relatives. This story is about a grandfather with dementia who suddenly begins speaking clearly to a deceased relative named Jack. The strangest part is the smell of cigarette smoke because Jack was a heavy smoker. Now, here is the full story. Grandfather at the end of life and interacting with deceased relatives. My grandfather is unfortunately at the end of his life, riddled with dementia and having strokes weekly. He's on hospice, and our family has made peace with his last days. He's unable to recognize any of us, and it's clear that he can no longer perceive the world around him coherently. He's mostly non-speaking now and will only grumble sometimes when he is in pain or has a primary functional need. I live very close to my grandfather and drop in regularly, although he does have a 24/7 caregiver now. Last Tuesday, his caregiver called me and asked me to come over as she smelled smoke, and my grandfather was acting odd. She felt like it might be the surge or terminal lucidity right before death. I came straight over, and as soon as I walked in, the smell of cigarette smoke hit me in the face. We have cameras on in the house at all times to check in, and none of the caregivers smoke. It smelled like an old pool hall. Sure enough, my grandfather was talking complete, coherent sentences, but he wasn't talking to us. He was talking to Jack. He was talking directly to the corner of the room, giving full details about the plans for the weekend. The lawnmower he had been working on, the plan for the new pool they were going to be installing, issues he's been having with my grandmother. This went on for 20 minutes. We would attempt to speak with my grandfather, but it was like we didn't exist. He couldn't take his eyes off of the corner of the room. The scary part for me is that Jack was a very real person who died about 15 years ago. He was my grandfather's brother-in-law, and they were the best of buds. This by itself wouldn't have been that scary. But the smell. Neither of my grandparents were smokers ever, but Jack was an absolute chain smoker. He was never caught without a cigarette, and he didn't eventually pass away from lung cancer. We checked every possible option in the house that could cause smoke smell, with no avail. The smell was only in this one room also. Not outside, not in the next room over. 30 minutes of this went by, and then it stopped. My grandfather became incoherent again, and the smell subsided. It wasn't the surge, because almost a week later he's still with us, and it hasn't happened again. I don't believe in paranormal. I like the stories, but I've never had an experience that made me a believer. But I do feel that my grandfather is somewhat on the threshold of life and death, and maybe he's able to meet some of his loved ones in the middle. Edit. I'm thankful to read the experiences all of you are sharing with me. Many people have stated this is not a paranormal phenomenon. I understand that hallucination is part of dementia, and the reason I decided to post to Paranormal Encounters is because of the extrasensory input that came from the smell of smoke. To me, that was what made this experience inexplainable. Final edit. This post received so much attention that I wanted to provide an update. My grandfather passed on from this world today. I'm broken-hearted, but also overjoyed that he will be able to see Jack again. Thanks to everyone who shared their experiences with me. Number 5. This story's title is I Saw a Wendigo and I Wish I Hadn't. This story is about someone staying alone in a cabin in northern Minnesota when something knocks on the window and asks to be let inside. Now, here is the full story. I saw a Wendigo, and I wish I hadn't. I need to write this down before I convince myself it didn't happen. This happened in December last year. I was visiting my uncle in northern Minnesota, near the Canadian border. He's the kind of guy who prefers solitude. Lives in a cabin deep in the woods, no close neighbors, just the trees and whatever lives in them. I never minded visiting. I like the quiet. But after that night, I don't think I'll ever go back. It was the coldest night of the year, at least minus 30 degrees Fahrenheit. My uncle had gone into town for supplies, so I was alone. The cabin was warm, the fire crackling, and I was scrolling on my phone when I heard it. Something moving outside. Not footsteps, more like a dragging sound. Slow, deliberate. At first I thought it was the wind, but then came the knock. Not at the door, at the window. 3 slow, deliberate taps. I froze. My uncle's nearest neighbor was miles away, and no sane person would be out in that cold. The knocking came again. I reached for my flashlight and shined it through the window. I wish I hadn't. There was something standing just beyond the tree line. It was tall, at least 7 or 8 feet, but emaciated, with long, bony limbs. Its skin looked frost-bitten, almost blackened, and its eyes were glowing. Not reflecting light, glowing on their own, like embers buried in a dying fire. I should have looked away. I should have closed the curtains, but I was frozen, staring, unable to breathe. And then it smiled. Its teeth were too many, too sharp, stretching across its face. It opened its mouth wider than any human should, and then it spoke. "Let me in." The voice didn't match the body. It sounded wrong, like a recording played at the wrong speed, too deep, too garbled. I I ran. I grabbed my uncle's rifle, locked the door, and backed into the farthest corner of the room. The knocking stopped, but I could hear it scraping against the walls outside. Slow, patient, like it had all the time in the world. I sat there for what felt like hours, rifle shaking in my hands, until my uncle finally came back. The second his headlights swept across the trees, the noises stopped. He found me pale, sweating, and gripping the gun like my life depended on it. I told him everything. He didn't say a word, just nodded and checked around the cabin. When he came back, he looked unsettled. "There are no tracks in the snow," he said. "Nothing." That was impossible. I heard it. I saw it. But there was nothing outside. No footprints. No marks on the walls. Just the untouched snow and the silent, watching trees. I left the next morning and haven't been back since. My uncle still lives there, but he told me something before I left. "If you ever hear it again," he said, "don't look. And whatever you do, never let it in." I haven't told anyone else until now, but I know what I saw, and I know it's still out there. Number 4. This story is from Reddit user HeLives_502. The title of the post is, "Was an Atheist Before This?" This story is about a man who says he saw his deceased friend walking down the road years after that friend died in a fire. The encounter changed what he believed about life after death. Now, here is the full story. Was an atheist before this. I'm 49M. By the time I had reached my early 20s, I was of the opinion there was nothing to life but what you could see or touch, nothing else. If you're reading this, then you know that is no longer the case. I guess the best way to start would be to tell you about a friend I had in high school, Todd. I had met him through another guy that I knew since 6th grade. Todd was just a really good guy, always upbeat, loyal, just a solid person. Looking back on it, probably the most genuine human being I had ever met, including up until now. We were around the same age, and when I was around 19, it had been a while since I had seen him. And our mutual friend calls me and tells me Todd's house had caught fire, and he had died trying to save his younger siblings during the fire. I can't remember exactly, but I know he made several trips in the house, saving at least 2 of his siblings, and went in again, and the roof collapsed on him, and another one just like 5 foot from the door, killing them both. Just a horrible thing. I couldn't believe it. It was the first person other than an elderly family member that I knew who passed. Fast forward 4 to 5 years, I'm in my car heading to a friend's house that lives in the same neighborhood where this happened. I'm maybe a mile or so away from where I'm headed, and about 100 yards, or a little more ahead of me. Walking towards me, there is a guy in jeans and a dark goody hands in the goody pocket, and his head down like looking at the ground as he is walking. For one, this is how I remember Todd. Seems like I always remember him wearing jeans and a hoodie and maybe a jean jacket, and what really caught my eye was his gait. I think Todd had one leg a little longer than the other one, something he just had sort of a limp. I could have picked him out of a crowd just by his walk. It was very unique. So as we are getting closer to each other, I just feel something is not right, or just off. Can't really put my finger on it, but as I get to him, I slow down and stop right next to him, and he stops as well. As we both come to a stop, he raises his head and looks right at me. We were just about 10 feet apart, one lane of a 2-lane road anyway. When he looks at me, it's him, and his face is glowing the most brilliant green you could imagine. We look at each other for maybe 4 or 5 seconds, it seemed like. And he had this calm, peaceful look on his face. I think I was in shock, I guess. I don't know. But I let my foot off the brake and coaster probably 30 or 40 feet down the road and stopped again. But I was too scared, I guess is the word, to look back. So I sat there for a few seconds and just pulled off and went to where I was going. I hear people talking the colors in heaven, being so much brighter or just more beautiful than colors here while explaining NDEs. And I think I get it. I think that's where this green was from. About a week before this happened, I was having a conversation with a buddy of mine, and I explained to him I was an atheist. I truly believe Todd was on that road that day to let me know there was something else, more to life than just what we can normally see. It changed my whole outlook on life in a split second. Well, that's what happened. Sorry about being so long, but every word is the truth. I've had experiences since then, but the rest are dark. Maybe I will write about those also. God bless you all. Number 3. The title of this post is Spoke with a Deceased Woman on a Police Call. This story is about a police officer who goes to notify a family that a woman has died, only to realize he may have spoken to that same woman before reaching the house. Now, here's the full story. Spoke with a deceased woman on a police call. I've posted this here before, along with about a burglary in progress call I responded to, but I've been getting requests from newer members on my recent posts and figured it's worth repeating for everyone. There was one call I went to, a death notification, that really freaked me out. I had to contact some family members of a deceased woman that was involved in a fatal car accident a few miles away from her home. When I arrived, I met a woman near the roadway just inside the property gate. She said she heard me coming from miles away. I asked her if she lived at the residence, which she confirmed she did. After asking her to speak with me at the house, she agreed, but said she needed the walk as the house was about 75 yards from the road. After making it to the house, I approached the front door on a small wooden porch and began scanning the driveway for the woman. It was about 1 a.m. and completely dark. While looking for the woman, the front door opened and a younger woman appeared. She was concerned about my presence and asked if everything was okay. I asked if I could speak with her and any other adults inside, and she welcomed me in. I told her I would wait for the woman I met near the gate, and she told me nobody else should be home. I then freaked out and began searching the property. Nothing. After entering the residence, I told her and her husband the news about Susan, which ended up being her mother. She said her mother moved in a few months back after her father had passed and wasn't handling it well. While she and her husband were comforting one another, I began looking at photos on the wall. There was this picture of a mid-aged woman that stuck out to me. She was a younger version of the woman I spoke with near the gate. While looking at the picture, the daughter confirmed that was her mother, the woman that passed in the wreck. I spoke with the ghost of the individual that died in the crash just before telling her family what happened. This experience and a few others prompted me to start sharing stories like these from the job on my channel, Policing the Shadows. Number 2. This story is from Reddit user Violet Strider. The title of the post is Witnessed a Witch Near My House with Multiple People. This story is about 3 people driving down a rural road when they all see a strange woman sitting in a ditch, rocking back and forth with her arms raised toward the sky. Now, here is the full story. Witnessed a witch near my house with multiple people. I grew up in a rural part of Maryland, the kind of place where everyone knows everyone within 10 square miles, and it took 30 minutes to get to the nearest department store. Our house was positioned between a cornfield and a forest. The road leading to my house was about 6 miles long, and the only people who ever drove down it were the handful of people that lived back there, and the occasional archaeological van that would do digs in the plot next to our house when the farmers would turn the fields over. We had a few paranormal experiences in that house. I'll briefly mention a few of those before telling you the story behind the title of this post. One day I was in my room upstairs playing piano and I heard a loud bang on the wall outside my room. My parents said something like, "What the hell was that?" When I walked out of the room to ask them the same thing, my piano started playing the pre-installed demo songs completely unprompted. It freaked all of us out enough that we called my brother, who was in college at the time, to tell him about it. Years later, he let us know that when we called him that night, he heard a deep laugh in the background of the phone call and was too afraid to tell us about at the time. Another odd occurrence was when I was sitting in the sunroom and watched my brother walking through the front yard toward the door. I turned and looked into the living room only to see my actual brother sitting on the couch, wearing a different shirt than the doppelganger that walked by the window. My parents would also hear me talking in the house pretty frequently when they knew I wasn't home. Anyways, in 8th grade, I had this witch experience that I haven't been able to shake, and I had other people with me. My friend's dad was driving me home in his 3-seater truck with my friend sitting between us. We got to the stretch of road where we could see my house across the field. They planted soybeans that year, so the corn wasn't blocking our view. And in the ditch, right by the road, was a figure I can only describe as a witch. We all saw her. We drove right past her. The ditch lining the road was about 2 feet deep and somewhat overgrown, and we could only see the upper half of her body, as if she were sitting cross-legged in the ditch. She was wearing an off-white nightgown that was stained brown, and her hair was black and tangled. She was looking up into the sky, with her arms extended toward the sky, and she was rocking in a circular motion. I know it sounds fucking ridiculous, but all 3 of us were totally uncomfortable. My friend's dad was rough around the edges. Carpenter. No bullshit kind of guy. I remember really feeling scared when he asked us, "What the hell was that?" She didn't look like a homeless person or a drug addict, and we were so far from any town we literally never had a single person in the 20 years I lived there wander into our area who didn't belong there. She legit looked like she came from another time period and was sitting in our ditch trying to summon a fucking tornado. When we got home, my friend's dad walked us inside, which he didn't normally do because my parents didn't socialize with my friend's parents. He came in almost as if he wanted to kill time to not drive back by her again. He told my parents what we had seen, and we couldn't see her from our house, so we called the police just in case it was someone in need of psychiatric help. My friend and his dad left after a couple minutes, and the police came in about 20 minutes later and said they didn't see anyone in the ditch and couldn't find anyone walking in the fields or roads in the surrounding area. My friend's dad called us once they got home and said that by the time they drove by the spot on their way home, she was gone. I truly cannot explain it. My friend's dad has since passed, but my friend says they still talked about it every now and then in the years following. Edit. I think I got caught up in the rhyme witch and ditch. I don't know what to call her. I DK what I saw, which is why I'm posting here. Didn't mean to insult witches. Also, for those who think I just saw a wandering person, besides, it not making geographical sense. I didn't emphasize enough just how otherworldly she felt because, frankly, I don't know how to describe it. It was the way she moved, the way she didn't even glance at the car. It was a feeling beyond ominous. She looked like she came from another plane. Number 1. This story is from Reddit user TastyToe2, 397. The title of the post is I can't believe I actually saw a ghost the other night, with my own eyes. This story is about someone walking home late at night after their car overheats. On the way, they see a man walking near them, but then realize they can see through him. Now here is the full story. I can't believe I actually saw a ghost the other night. With my own eyes, I was going to the store about 10:30 p.m. My car overheats. I live in a very rural area. Pull over, let it cool down, check radiator, and drive a couple more miles, and it overheats again. At this point, it's after midnight, and I am not too far away from my house, 1.5-mile walk. It's a pretty night, just a little chilly. So I decide, instead of risking hurting the car, I'll just hoof it. The road I live on is a very rough, mountainous road made of dirt, and I was not far from it, so I strike out not too worried because I knew why the car overheated and I needed a walk anyway. I walk down the 2-lane highway, then 2/3 or so down my dirt road. I'm moving a good clip. There was some moonlight enough to where I didn't need a flashlight anyway. I see something coming up a neighbor's driveway and hear faint steps on the gravel on my left. It's walking right up that driveway out towards the main road where I'm walking past. My first thought is, shit, one of my neighbors heard or saw me walking down our road in the middle of the night and think I'm messing around, casing houses or something. At any moment I expect to see a flashlight, a gun, or a combination of the two, and some questions. Then I realize what I'm seeing. There's a man walking towards me, except I can see through him. It kinda was like Predator in the beginning, where it took on the texture of the surrounding trees, but as it got closer, it was very much a man, a little bigger build, but the same height, wearing what I thought was a plaid lumberjack-style shirt and denim pants, and he had longer hair, a la Theo Vaughn, kinda. He walks out of the driveway within about 30 feet, and he comes alongside me and walks beside me for about 100 to 150 feet, 30 feet to my left, along this split-rail wooden fence. When I get to the end of that fence, he stops and puts his arm up on it and just stares at me. I did not say a word. I just kept walking, the hair on my head standing on end. I mean, I saw the man. I also saw through him. It was just like when they beam people up in Star Trek when they look faint. It was like he was 40% solid, maybe, and only 30 feet away for a good 1 to 2 minutes straight. He deliberately came down that driveway to meet me on the road and walks beside me for about 100 to 150 feet, 30 feet to my left along this split-rail wooden fence. When I get to the end of that fence, he stops and puts his arm up on it and just stares at me. I did not say a word. I just kept walking, the hair on my head standing on end. I mean, I saw the man. I also saw through him. It was just like when they beam people up in Star Trek when they look faint. It was like he was 40% solid, maybe, and only 30 feet away for a good 1 to 2 minutes straight. He deliberately came down that driveway to meet me on the road and walked beside me, watching me. The look he had was sad, or like he wanted to tell me something but couldn't find his voice. So I keep walking, and I'm terrified to look back. And I just keep saying to myself, WTF, WTF, WDF. Did that just really happen? I was never scared, really, just more in disbelief of what I'd witnessed. I began to get really disturbed by it as I got closer to my house. It creeping me out more and more. So the next morning, I'm in the kitchen telling my dad about it. How I've always believed in aliens and UFOs, but never ghosts. Not in the slightest, and he's looking at me skeptically for sure, but then he wanted to know exactly where. Suddenly it dawns on me, I remember him telling me about a year ago, before I moved back in, that one of the neighbors we barely knew had killed himself in that house down the driveway where that split rail fence is. I have tears in my eyes and my hair is standing on end and my nerves are electrified writing this now. Up until the other night, I thought all paranormal activity was outright BS. Then I saw a ghost. Like I'll take a polygraph, God strike me dead if I am lying. Saw a ghost with my own sober eyes. I can only guess it was that unfortunate soul. I have been shaken ever since. Please, feel free to share any thoughts. I am still wigged out. And those were 10 scary Reddit stories read here at the Strange Hotel. Some of these stories were about ghosts. Some were about strange figures. Some were about things that may not have been human at all. Now I want to know what you think. Which story scared you the most? Leave a comment below and don't forget to check into the Strange Hotel again for more terrifying stories. And remember, some rooms should stay locked.